Hello students, welcome back once again, and let's continue with some of the story of the water that was left out with our previous video. Today we will discuss and learn something about the treatment of water. The question arises, treatment from what? So definitely the treatment of water for the hardness. So we are going to treat water with respect to its hardness, which actually can create nuisance when we use this water in the boilers. So as far as the treatment of water is done for its hardness causing salts, it is of two types. One is internal treatment, wherein we do the internal conditioning of water. We create some condition in the water such that the hardness causing salts, which are actually deposited on the inner walls of the boiler, such as calcium sulfate mainly, it actually is not able to precipitate out and form scale. So in this type of treatment, we create such a condition, such a situation inside the boiler water itself, such that the precipitation of calcium sulfate is not done, and therefore the scale formation does not take place. Now the internal treatment can be done in different types that we will discuss in detail. The second type of treatment is the external treatment. Now, as the name suggests, external treatment implies the treatment of the water which is done externally before feeding it into the water. So before putting the water in the boiler, before feeding the water into the boiler, we have to treat it first. We have to remove the hardness from that water, and then only it can be used in the boiler. So when the treatment is done outside the boiler, then that type of treatment is called as external treatment. We do it by softening of water externally, either by zeolite process or ion exchange process, or let's say lime soda process. So here in the external treatment, the water is treated for its hardness causing salts externally, and once the treatment is done, the water becomes soft, and now this water can be used in the boiler, can be fed to the boiler as boiler feed water. Today let's start in detail with the internal treatment first. So as far as the internal treatment of water is concerned, it is of different types. First is carbonate conditioning, wherein we create a condition for the carbonate ions. Then it is colloidal conditioning, wherein we remove the hardness causing salts with the help of some organic substances. Third is phosphate conditioning. As the name suggests, some condition is created with the help of phosphate ions. And then the Calgon condition, wherein the precipitate is formed by using a chemical commercially called as Calgon. So these are the basically four main types by which internal treatment of water can be done. Let's begin with the carbonate conditioning story first. In order to understand this carbonate conditioning, let's have a look first what actually the boiler looks from inside. Now this is the boiler from inside. As you can see, the water is getting heated up and the water is boiling. Okay, so we are basically working inside this particular structure. So don't lose the focus of this particular structure. Okay, let's start with carbonate conditioning. Actually what happens, internal treatment is also called as sequestration. In this internal treatment of water, an ion is actually prohibited to show its original character. And how do we prohibit that ion? We complex it, or let's say we convert it into some other more soluble salt. And how do we convert it? By adding an appropriate agent or a reagent. So the internal treatment actually can be accomplished by adding a calculated amount of chemical to the boiler water itself, and that chemical can work in either of the two ways. It can either precipitate the scale forming impurities in the form of sludge, which can be easily removed by a blowdown operation, or it can convert these scale forming impurities into the other compounds, which actually stays in the dissolved state or dissolved form in water. And so when it is in the dissolved form in water, it does not lead to the formation of hard deposition on the inner lining of the boiler, which is called as scale. Okay.